The following podcast will contain adult language and an abundance of salt, so get ready, nerds, because we're talking reality TV movies. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining us on this episode of the Salty Nerd Podcast, where we talk about reality TV movies like Showtime, EdTV, and The Truman Show. Just a reminder that this episode is available everywhere where you get your podcasts. Head over to Spotify or Apple iTunes, or if you want to watch the video, head over to YouTube and watch us talk about reality TV movies. I'm joined, as always, by my fantastic panel of nerds. Matt Vader's here. What's up, dude?
Hey, bud.
How you doing?
I'm good.
This is a bad week for you? It's a bad week for me.
Bad week for me. Bad week all around. Bad week for the movies I had to watch, and bad week for my chest and my throat and my head.
I don't know. It's kind of an improvement. You sound great.
I'm having a pretty good time with your chest and your throat right now.
I'll be glad when this week's over.
Yeah.
So
we're going to be getting back to some serious nerdy stuff in May. Like we over course corrected with May because it's like everything is sci-fi.
Oh, I love it.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Our production meeting by text.
Yeah. We have a busy week this week. I'm also joined by Jude. What's up?
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How
are you enjoying that Japanese gin?
It's really good.
It is really
I'm really
good, huh?
liking it.
I'm surprisingly enjoying it too. I'm usually a Hendrix.
Are you okay? Do you need some more toast?
No, I'm good. This is just club soda today.
After last week?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to slow down.
But the three of you almost died from alcohol poisoning last week. Vader went into an absinthe hole, didn't climb out till halfway through the episode was over.
I like plants.
Do you really love the lamp? Or?
The plant was cool.
The plant was cool.
Vader's head was just like staring down at the table for like a good hour.
Dude, that's legit, dude.
And then when he looks up, he's like, where did that hour just go? What's happening?
What happened?
I legit lost time.
I was trying I'm like, because I just got done editing that episode. I was trying so hard to hold myself together while I was doing my normal intros and stuff like that. And I was like, so just make sure you go and support the channel. And I'm like, wow, I need to not do that.
And I have to point out that it's all Anima Confusa's fault for selecting
100%.
the drink word as being the F-bomb.
Yes.
Because we use that word way more than we should.
Our kryptonite. She's like, drink every time you say fuck. And we were like, oh no.
I think it made me say it more. You're not allowed to say fuck. I'm going to say it double.
Even more. Matthew McConaughey is also here. What's up, dude?
Yes. So this was a rough week on all counts. And luckily we were able to pull through it. Matt Vader actually had to call out of work, his real work.
3 days.
For 3 days, which he never does. And then while he was sick, he had to watch these movies, which he didn't like.
Made it worse.
What's worse than making yourself feel like you've been sick for longer than watching shitty movies?
Watching Jim Carrey art flicks.
Also, like Jude and I, we started watching late this week, and so we had to binge a lot of these movies back to back. And that made it even more rough.
Didn't we watch all 3 in one day?
We did.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh no! Don't do that. Don't do that.
Well, it was like the only time we could do it. It was like late in the week before like recording was set to start, and so like we had to knock them all out.
Yeah.
And we forced ourselves to power through them.
Okay.
All right, guys. Fun. We had a nice little lazy day.
I like lazy days.
Yeah.
All right, guys. The first movie on our list is Eddie Murphy and Robert De Niro in Showtime. Before we get into it, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. All right, before we get into the first movie on Showtime, Jude has a quick message for you. Take it away.
All right. Welcome back. I'm going to give you the synopsis of Showtime in just a second, but first I want to tell you about how you can help support the show without spending any money. First, wherever you're listening or watching, hit the thumbs up button, or preferably if you're listening to the audio only, give us a 5-star rating. Just scroll down, hit that 5th star, and that's it. Finally, if you have an extra couple of dollars a month and you want to share it with us, first of all, thank you. Second, that will really help support us financially so that we can keep creating the content that we put out on the show. And now, Showtime. It's Showtime.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got to do the thing. You got to do Showtime.
Yeah, well, she's very much a Wesley Snipes type.
Me and the Westley Snipes type? Can you imagine?
Don't ruin it.
Showtime. All right, Jude. Tell me what this god-awful movie's all about.
2002 Showtime, rated PG-13 with a runtime of 1 hour, 35 minutes. This had a budget of $85 million. What? De Niro, Murphey.
Ugh.
chef's kiss.
This should have been a $20 million movie.
What do you think this brought into the box office? They had that news helicopter. That ain't cheap.
105 million.
At least 10 million of that budget went to William Shatner. So.
Oh, that's right.
The Shat is
I
back.
forgot
he was the best part of this movie.
He was the best part of
He
the
was, yeah, when he was doing the role.
Like, it's literally William Shatner playing William Shatner.
Yes.
Against De Niro.
Tell him about TJ Hooker. Yeah, that's good.
right.
110 million.
What?
Okay.
Dude, listen, I don't even remember this movie.
I've never even heard of it until this week.
Never heard of it. Didn't know it existed.
Yeah, but it was in 2002. You were wasted.
So, so I remember when this movie came out, and the marketing for this movie was horrible.
I can imagine.
And it was around that time where like all these team up movies were being done, like I Spy with Eddie Murphy and Owen Wilson and Shanghai Noon and stuff like that. And so like these team up movies were really hot. And around this time, Robert De Niro was kind of abandoning his integrity and just taking movies for money. And
I can see
and
that.
this was definitely one of those. And so like nothing about this movie really worked. And a lot of people just like weren't excited to see it. And so it was a big flop.
Okay, but let Vader guess.
What was the budget?
85.
I think it had to have flopped. So I'm going to say like 65, 70 million.
Ooh, $77 million.
Nice. Yeah, well, it deserved it.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't deserve half the budget.
This God,
It's insanely bad.
this movie was painful, man. Like, I like old school Eddie Murphy. Like, my favorite Eddie Murphy movie is Trading Spaces with Dan Aykroyd. I love that movie. That's like peak Eddie Murphy for me.
Yeah,
this like 2000s era Eddie Murphy.
This movie, it has a great cast.
Sure.
It's got,
does.
got Rene Russo, the Shat. It's got
De
Eddie
Niro.
Murphy and De Niro, two of
Most
arguably.
Def.
I mean, Kadeem Hardison was even in this movie. I
Yeah.
don't know if you know who he is, but you know, it's not for a lack of star power that this movie sucks. It's a bad movie. It's poorly acted.
Would you like me to tell you what it's about?
Yeah. I guess I'm just kind of.
You know what? Jude's synopsises or synopsi, whatever, are always the best part of the
Synopsis.
podcast.
Did you just synopsis singular plural?
Synopsis. Synopsi?
What's the synopsis?
Jude, take it away.
All right. Top cop Eddie Murphy busts bad guys at night and slays auditions during the day. He's just minding his own business, breaking his high score at Total Vice, like the badass Wesley Snipes type that he is, when obvious mob associate Robert De Niro slinks past him with a cherry-flavored icy and a firearm, looking sus. Surely, this is an investigation for Prince Akeem. He disarms the taxi driver just in time for the Channel 5 News helicopter to catch wind of the sting. Pissed off about his busted-up undercover bust, the raging bull shoots out the news camera that won't take "Get that goddamn camera out of here" for an answer, acing his audition for a new reality show. When the nutty professor learns they're looking for one more tough cop on the show, he hires Dwayne Wayne to steal Thor's mom's purse so that he can come to her rescue. I just blew your mind again.
Whoa. That is Thor's mom.
The audition is going great until Gaylord Fokker's father-in-law tries to cuff the purse thief, spoiling Eddie Murphy's ruse. The jig is up, and showrunner Rene Russo knows it was all an act. But luckily, acting is just what she was looking for, and it just so happens that Donkey and De Niro have great chemistry. Discuss.
God, I hate
You really
this
worked hard
movie.
on that one.
Yeah, she did. She pulled all of
That's
this.
good.
All
Listen, sometimes it just comes together like magic.
the strings were pulled on that one. I hate literally everything about this movie.
They're just playing caricatures of themselves.
A Wesley Snipes type.
Type.
You guys, I say this all the time, and now you know why.
Wesley Snipes type?
It's from this.
Do you like this movie?
No.
Oh, okay, thank God.
No, 100% no. I really was not looking forward to watching this.
So why did we pick this?
This was actually Katish's pick, this movie.
God
I think
damn you, dude. What is wrong with you?
I had something else in my list. I wanted to do Truman Show
Yeah.
and EdTV, and then something else was on my list. I forget what, but you guys didn't want to watch it. And so we decided to watch this. This is a terrible movie.
This is a terrible movie.
But for some reason, I want a Wesley Snipes type.
Wesley Snipes type?
Fits into normal conversation in my life.
Right. Everything from the acting is over the top and ridiculous. De Niro looks bored throughout the entire movie.
He totally does.
He looks so bored. He's like, whatever, this freaking Eddie Murphy guy's going to
So you want me to do my De Niro thing a lot through the whole movie?
Okay.
Right? Okay.
You want me to look uninterested and bored?
Put the camera down. I'm going to look, give me my mug, I'm going to look in the camera.
I do like the dog.
Yeah. The dog was funny.
Powder.
The racist dog.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's a former police dog that basically the network is like, oh, dogs test well with audiences, and so they try to give De Niro a dog to lighten up his image a bit, and it's a former police dog,
but it doesn't like Eddie Murphy,
and it hates Eddie Murphy. So like initially De Niro hates the dog, but once he finds out the dog also hates Eddie Murphy, he's like, okay,
maybe I like the dog. Maybe his dog and I have something in common. You know what I mean? It's just, oh God, this movie's so dull and predictable and stupid. And the plot line, the actual plot line that they have, that they're like investigating this like group of people who have these like crazy sci-fi guns or whatever. They're like, oh, the comment that one of the dudes makes about like what kind of gun it was, is like, oh, it's a blah 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 interchangeable magazine, blah blah blah. And I'm like,
this gun,
petroleum, whatever the hell casing,
depleted uranium.
It was so stupid.
This gun is straight out of this should have starred Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yes.
So just to give some context to this, so basically this movie's plot revolves around Eddie Murphy and De Niro's characters trying to track down these illegal firearms that, if they get into the hands of gang members and stuff like that, could basically wipe out like an entire city, kill all the police officers, no matter what type of like armor they're wearing and all this other stuff. So, and on top of that, they're filming a reality TV show while they're doing it. And the movie starts off with De Niro kind of talking to a school of kindergartners or something like that about his job as a police officer. And he makes it very clear, like, you know, like, I've never jumped off of, you know, a moving car. I've never like leapt out of an exploding building. Like none of like the stuff you see in the movies. It's like most of my stuff is paperwork and all this other junk. And so like when he goes and with his former partner, they go undercover to try to find this arms smuggling ring. And one of the arms smugglers, played by Mos Def, whips out this like super crazy, like semi-automatic weapon that uses these like armor destroying like shells. And basically the guy who is in charge of the arms smuggling ring doesn't like the fact that he exposed these guns. So he takes all of them along with his henchmen and uses them and doesn't clean up any of the evidence that they were used. And De Niro and Eddie Murphy are like, maybe this is a clue. So like they start trying to track this guy down before he can sell these weapons to the local gangs in LA.
They're terrible cops.
They really are bad cops.
Their acting is not fun. Eddie Murphy goes too far and Robert De Niro doesn't go far enough. It's uneven. It's boring.
They just phoned it in.
I don't have anything nice to say about this movie. This movie freaking sucks.
I have one thing nice to say about it.
Go for it.
William Shatner.
Okay.
Best part.
So there's a scene in this movie where
with the eyebrows,
where basically Rene Russo's character, who's the producer of this reality show, brings in William Shatner to teach Robert De Niro how to be a cop. And Eddie Murphy is like all about learning from William Shatner, who's playing himself, by the way. And so like you have scenes where you have Eddie Murphy, William Shatner, and Robert De Niro all acting against each other, and they're so wildly different from one another that I was like, this should be the whole movie.
Yeah.
I could watch 3 hours.
He should have. Yeah, Shatner should have been the producer of the show. He should have been the one.
Listen, Shatner was only going to show up for 2 hours.
He should have been writing along with them as a technical advisor from the TJ Hooker
100%.
stuff.
Yeah,
it would have worked.
But it's funny. So like he's showing them how to like slide across the hood of a car.
Yeah. Yes.
He's teaching Eddie Murphy about the eyebrows. There's a great scene where he talks about how to like test drugs to see if like what type of drug it is. And De Niro's like, oh, what if it was arsenic? And Shatner's just like, oh. But I loved it because when De Niro's doing his thing, he's in character and he's playing this cop who really hates having to be on a reality show. Shatner's like, this guy's the worst actor I've ever seen in my life.
There was one thing that, it's in general, it's not a good movie, but there was one thing that really bothered me in this movie. And it's, so these two police officers, they're on a reality show. The whole point of the show is for the cameras to follow them around while they're doing police work.
Right.
So De Niro shows up. They put him in hair and makeup and wardrobe. And then before he goes out to do his cop job, he's like, I got to wash this shit out of my hair and change. And the cameras are still following him. I'm like, that's not continuity. And then the shit that they do to his house. Oh, it's horrible.
He's like, I look like a gay porn star who lives here. They got everything all freaking brightly colored and updated, flat screen TVs.
The whole movie, Rene Russo is like, I can work with this. I can work with this. I can work with this.
That's the only thing she said the whole time.
Stop working with it.
And also, their little romance at the end kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Oh, this is just one of those movies. It's like, we got to throw a romance in. Where can we put it? Right at the end. Have them kiss.
But
the audience will love it.
But it was kind of clever that like De Niro, who's, you know, very much like this is how actual police work is done, like basically finds himself in like a big action like movie where like he's doing all the cop tropes that he said like real
You
cops
never do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't see that coming.
Not at all.
It was also funny because there's a scene in this movie where De Niro goes to like his local diner to like have lunch, and Rene Russo follows him there to try to convince him to like, you know, do the reality show. And that diner that he goes to sit in was actually a place I used to go to a lot when I lived in LA. It was called the Apple Pan.
Back in Hollywood.
And all it is, it's this big horseshoe shaped counter with like a kitchen in there. They had the best hamburgers and the best pie in town.
Were you offended that they had a roach on the counter at the end of that scene?
I was, but like the restaurant in the show is not the Apple Pan. That's just where they filmed it.
Okay.
So like the restaurant in the show is actually like some like really like down and dirty diner. But like when I was watching the scene, I was like, God, that place looks familiar. And I was like, oh, they must have shot at the Apple Pan. And so
is it still there today?
Oh yeah. It's one of those staples in LA that never goes away.
Okay, hear me out, guys. As a podcast, we need to take some podcast funds and we need to go on a tour adventure of LA with Matthew McConaughey and be like, this is where I used to hang out here. This is where I used to go to lunch over here.
True Hollywood stories.
Don't just stroke his ego, dude. I'm not interested
I have actually been on this tour.
She was like, been there.
Remember how I was talking about my first panic attack yesterday? It was during this trip.
Oh no.
I feel like we should need to like go to like a conference or something in LA and just have them take us to a couple cool places at some point.
I'm down for that.
Yeah.
So we went to Paramount, and his friend still works there. So he like stole a golf cart, picked us all up, and gave us a personal tour.
Yeah, we went on the set of Grace and Frankie.
Mm-hmm.
Grace and Frankie, no shit.
Yeah.
Can we go talk to
That's
Paramount
amazing.
and ask them that why they keep blocking our videos?
Oh no, we're probably banned from the lot by now.
It's like, listen, you piece of shit.
but yeah, we stayed at the Roosevelt Hotel, and you know, I took her to my old neighborhood and all this other fun stuff in LA. So
I've never wanted to go to LA before, but that kind of sounds like fun.
It was really fun.
Took her to the Magic Castle.
Like,
I love the Magic Castle.
what? What'd you guys do there?
They have
Magic.
shows. They have actual magicians.
Really?
Yeah, it was so much fun. And
Okay.
they fed me.
That's probably the best of both worlds.
Also, there's like several bars on each level.
Perfect.
Like
Good.
it's everything.
What were you gonna say?
So you probably got to like meander through homeless encampments between places that you
Nowadays-
go to.
Fucking magical.
I just want to go to
I don't know.
I just
I
go.
don't think you can pay me to go to LA right now.
Yeah, it's-
It was funny because in this movie, Robert De Niro's place, it's got like the carports underneath like his apartment,
Mm.
and it's, you know, that's so common out there in Hollywood and LA. And I was watching that, I was like, God, I remember when I used to live in a place like that. It's so ghetto.
Yeah, they made a parking garage out of one of Elon Musk's tunnels.
Perfect. See, he's useful.
But like this movie really should have been more of a comedy than it was. You know, like I think that they
Yeah.
tried to straddle the line between seriousness and comedy, and it just needed to be a flat out like
This
goofy movie.
They
feels
they
like
need-
it.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say it feels like it should have been like the other guys with Wahlberg and Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
Like this is what this movie should have been.
That movie was funny.
That one movie was funny. It
I
just
feel like this was trying to be Lethal Weapon.
really.
I feel like this movie was just Eddie Murphy being Eddie Murphy and it being over with at this point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
It's
you
just-
can tell De Niro did this for the paycheck.
Oh yeah.
And Eddie Murphy was just doing like the same shtick that he does in every
I mean,
movie.
where was he at in his career when this came out? Was this
Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
He was doing fucking Pluto Nash and
And I think the movie that came out right before this was I Spy. That he
I
did
actually-
with
Oh
Owen
yeah.
Wilson.
So he was like in like the bottom of the
I don't mind
Sure,
I
yeah.
Spy though. Like I have fond memories of watching them. I haven't watched it recently, so maybe if I go back and rewatch it, it's probably gonna be shit. But
I mean, he had already done all of the Nutty Professor
I've
movies.
never seen a single one of those
I think I
movies.
saw the first
And
one.
I
I think
refuse.
Janet Jackson's in that one.
I mean, I love Eddie Murphy. I love his movies.
I love his older
his good
movies.
movies.
Yeah.
You know, but
Well, you
these,
didn't like Coming to America all that much.
The second one
because you watched it in
was
the wrong,
terrible.
you watched it in the wrong order.
The second one was terrible. The first one was funny. What's the McDonald's ripoff place? McDonald's. So stupid.
Burgers on the bottom. Right? Cheese is on the bottom.
Not a sesame seed bun.
Yeah, that's
It's
right.
different. It's 25% different.
Fries are made in
Like I
canola
like
oil.
Eddie Murphy. His movies are fun, and I remember liking I Spy. So I don't. I just think it just didn't work in this movie.
So, two fun facts about this movie. The first is that Rene Russo's assistant is actually Robert De Niro's adopted daughter.
oh,
And the
Nepotism.
second one is James Roday, who is Sean from Psych, one of my favorite TV shows of all time. I think this is like his first movie, and I just thought that was kind of cool to see him in this.
the scene is making me really want
I want a hamburger.
cheeseburger
I
right
want a
now,
hamburger.
dude.
Yeah, we're watching the Apple Pan. scene.
Yeah, I'm so hungry right now. I'm like, oh, that burger looks good as fuck.
Order it up, dude.
That burger's probably better than the movie. Yeah.
Applebee's in the neighborhood.
There's a Carl's Jr. right down the street.
I know.
Be there in 10
Oh
minutes.
my God, that's such trash.
Well, it's
This podcast is brought to you by Carl's Jr. It's trash.
That'll be $1,000, Carl's Jr.
You can rent out one of these squares for $1,000. Carl's Jr. cup.
Yeah, leave us a comment on
We
the
need
video.
to do a different product placement every week.
Yeah,
in that.
well, I was trying not to bring attention to it, but I do genuinely want our audience's feedback on the wall of nerdom. I've got a new background. It's no longer just the
banner.
The banner. Now I've got some cool stuff in the back. I got some alcohol and some fun things, some Stargate, Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
stuff like
we
that, so.
wanted to show James Mangold what was up.
Yeah, we got to update. We got
He
lights
upgraded.
and everything. But anyway, let us know what you think of the background in the comments
Yeah,
below.
leave us a comment. Give us your feedback on Alex's new background.
Yep. Let me know if there's anything else
And
I can
send us
include.
booze for it.
Booze, yes. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, you get
If
us.
you want us to showcase your booze,
you-
send it.
But it has to be short and stumpy, though.
Yeah. What are those, 10 inches?
I don't know. We'll figure it out later. Well,
Yeah.
it'll be on our Discord.
Getting back to the movie though, so like we're watching the scene right now where Dwayne Wayne does the fake mugging with Eddie Murphy. And Jude, do you want to explain who Dwayne Wayne is?
Who's Dwayne Wayne? I don't know who
He's
that is.
from a different world.
Is that the song?
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
It is now.
So when Lisa Bonet was on The Cosby Show.
Lisa Bonet?
Yeah.
You know,
Who's that?
Mrs. Momoa.
Yes. Jason
Well,
Momoa's
was.
wife.
Not anymore.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yep.
Okay. She was on The Cosby Show. She played the
Lisa.
oldest daughter, or no, the
Second
second
oldest.
oldest daughter, Denise. She had a spin-off show called A Different World, where she goes to college, and Kadeem Hardison was the second lead on it. I think she was only on the first
She was
season.
in the first season, and they
Yeah.
said, "Oh, you suck, with Lisa Bonet, but we're gonna keep going."
Was it a Cosby Show spinoff?
It was a Cosby Show
Same.
spin-off.
It's like she played the same,
Same
character?
universe, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
And Dwayne Wayne was the guy who had the circular
He
glasses.
had the
and
flip
it
up
flipped up.
glasses.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah.
circles, and they were his glasses, and then you like flip down
Right.
sunglasses part of them, and that's where that came from.
That's where we got Sinbad from. Sinbad was in it, the comedian.
It's before my time.
You know who Sinbad is?
I know who Sinbad is, but
Okay, well, that fell flat. You're welcome.
no, it's fine. I had no idea, and I still don't know. Like I'm looking at him, I was
Yeah.
like,
Was this before or after Sinbad played a genie in a movie?
That never
that's
happened.
Mandela effect. Shazam. He played Shazam. He was a genie.
No, we didn't.
No, that was Shaq.
There's a movie with Sinbad as a genie. I remember
think
that
there
shit.
is.
I do too, but it didn't happen.
That's bullshit.
I need you to stop talking, or they're gonna come.
I watched that goddamn movie.
They're gonna come get you. Shut the fuck up.
I watched the movie with Shaquille O'Neal as like Iron Man. You remember that? Steel or something
Steel,
like
yeah.
that? That
Superman.
exists.
Superman ripoff.
Superman spinoff.
Superman spinoff, ripoff, whatever. I don't know. I remember these movies. And yes, Sinbad was in a genie movie.
There's a witch.
Yes.
I know.
So
I
I
saw
watched
that
it.
movie too.
So Showtime received 2 nominations for Golden Raspberry Awards. The first was for Eddie Murphy as worst actor,
Oh, thank
and
God.
the second was worst screen combo for Murphy and De Niro together.
It
Have
wasn't good.
they ever been on screen together ever since?
I don't think so.
This was like a one-time.
I meant to look that up because I was wondering too, but I didn't.
I'm really glad that it got a Razzie Award because it.
I don't think it won. I think it got nominated.
That's fine.
God,
That's close
snubbed.
enough. Close enough.
I just wanted more Shatner. Like as soon as he appeared, I was like, he needs to be in the rest of this movie because he was the best part.
I agree. He's the only good part of this movie. I love it when he was like trying to teach him how to do the tuck and roll. It's just the best part of the freaking movie. The rest of it's trash. Everything about this movie is trash. Vader, give it a rating.
1-star crap fest.
Thank you. Jude?
It didn't make me mad, but it's not good. I'll give it a firm 2 TJ hookers out of 5.
2 out of 5. Okay. Kadish.
I'm right there with my lovely lady over here. This is a 2 TJ hookers out of 5. It's an okay movie. Like it's totally forgettable. It's very silly. All the movies that we're watching this week are basically a direct result of the reality TV craze that Survivor started back in the late 90s. And it's just gone from there. And all these movies kind of have the same problems to them, which is they're not very interesting.
Survivor?
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember that?
I thought Real World started the whole
I agree.
reality TV craze.
Well, Survivor was the thing that basically made the networks all switch over to reality TV.
Real World just did it first. Showtime was the only time that they teamed up.
Okay. I figured as much. I'm with Vader. I'll tell you what. This is a 1-star movie, but I'm going to give it a 1/2 star for William Shatner.
That's fair.
So 1.5.
I think William Shatner lowered himself by being in this movie.
Oh my God. You remember when he played a radio DJ
With a bottle of.
and just
Yeah, but
drank
he
wild
was
turkey
just-
through the whole movie?
I respected him for that. That was much better.
Yeah, he showed up for one day. He
It's like,
probably
I'm
got
gonna get
paid
drunk.
half the budget of
What was
Christmas
that
Horror
movie?
Story.
Christmas Horror Story,
Horror
right?
Story, yeah.
Yes. Christmas Horror Story with.
Watch that.
William
Don't
Shatner.
watch this.
Yeah, we actually covered that for
We
our
did.
holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
episode
Holiday.
one
Was
day.
it Holiday Horror? What did
Yeah,
we
Holiday
do?
Yes, it
Horror.
was.
Yeah. Krampus was a dope ass movie.
Oh my God, Krampus was great.
Fucking love that
Yeah,
movie.
I actually really liked Christmas Horror Story. Was
Yeah.
that? Okay, yeah.
Or Holiday Horror. Yeah,
whatever. Yeah, that was great.
It was
I think
better
about
than
that
I
movie
expected.
all the time.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's just Shatner getting drunk.
That's
Yeah.
great. Can you imagine getting paid to
You know,
sit and
as-
get drunk while you
much
talk?
as much as Shatner hates YouTubers and podcasters, like he should start a YouTube channel where he just like
Oh my God.
gets drunk and talks about shit and rants.
He would-
I would watch the fuck out of that.
He would be so famous.
I love how
He doesn't need it.
No.
But
What
people
what
would
I mean
send
by
him
famous is
booze.
like,
It would save him a trip to the store for the wild turkey.
God damn it.
I
dude.
love his I don't talk to podcasters
Yeah.
stance. It's so
Yeah.
funny to me.
Hey, good for him, man.
What? It's like, okay.
I gave him a fist bump at the Star Trek convention. It's all good.
You did.
I wouldn't talk to me either, man. I could totally understand.
Yeah. Was it probably 3 years ago now? It's a Trek convention. I got a meet and greet for me and my dad to go see Shatner because my dad's a huge fan of Star Trek. Been watching it since he's a kid, and I was like, Dad, you want to go meet Shatner? And he's like, Well, I don't know how much is it going to be. I'm like, don't worry about the cost. I'll pay for it. I was like, it was awesome. It was freaking great. My dad had a giant grin on his face the whole time.
I didn't pay shit for Dina Meyer to go like this at me.
No.
No.
Yeah, the one time I met Shatner, he was pretty cool.
Yeah, he's a pretty chill guy. He chatted with my dad for a second.
Yeah, don't talk about your podcast though.
No. Hey man, would you like to be on my podcast?
No.
No.
Yeah. Universal.
Universal. No.
I'm not seeing anywhere where Sinbad played Genie. In the
Shut
Sinbad
up.
show. I'm looking at his thing right now.
It never happened.
Jude and I are from the same parallel universe.
Stop looking for it. And she had a claw because the spell didn't work.
You can tell we hate this movie.
I saw this movie.
Do you remember the shape of the lamb?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know we hate a movie when we're talking about Sinbad, and Sinbad wasn't even in the movie.
There's so little for me to talk
Talking about
about.
a movie that doesn't actually exist.
Yeah. And at the end
What
of the
is-
movie, she's just crying, it didn't work, or what, there wasn't enough, or something like that, because the spell wouldn't transform. I saw this fucking movie.
I know what you're talking about. Okay.
Cherokee Kid.
That's it for Showtime. I don't know what else to say about
He
this
was in
movie.
Jingle All
Yep.
the Way.
It's trash.
Yep.
The only thing good about it is William Shatner.
Homeward Bound 2.
The first one was good. Never seen
Are
the
you
second
just
one.
going through Sinbad's
I am.
filmography?
Wait,
I am.
Sinbad was in Homeward Bound
Yeah,
too?
I guess so.
I think that's another Mandela effect.
Meteor Man. That's a
Dude,
classic.
we need to talk about Meteor Man.
No, we
don't
don't.
know
No,
that.
we
Come
don't.
on, we have to.
Oh, does he become a superhero? because of-
1990s superhero movies? Yes.
I
Come on.
Meteor
Can we
Man,
move on to the
Blink
next one?
That
Yeah,
must
we can
have
move on.
slipped
One star
timelines.
crap fest.
All right, the next movie on our list is The Truman Show. We'll be right back, and we're going to get into that one, so stay tuned.
I see Wesley Snipes types all the time walking down the street. You can find the Wesley Snipes type, me and the Wesley Snipes type.
Welcome back, everybody. Hey, if you want to support the podcast and download an awesome mobile game, go to saltynerd.com/DC and download Dragon Champions. It's a really fun hero collecting game where you get to collect your heroes and upgrade them and go on raids and a lot of fun stuff. And we now officially have a Salty Nerd Podcast Guild that you can join once you reach level 20, started by one of our patrons, JT. Thank you, sir, for starting that up for us. And Vader is working his way up to, what are you, level 60 something?
61.
61?
Yeah.
I made it to level 22. I'm so proud of myself. It's awesome. Katie's over
Good
here.
job.
The master dragon champion himself, level 80.
Yep. I'm awesome.
He's a man of few words. He's all action, no words.
So head over to saltynerd.com/DC, download Dragon Champions. They support us immensely, and we want to return the favor.
Don't forget, they got to use our promo code in the game.
Use your promo code SALTY in the promo code area. So go to the settings and then scroll down, and you'll find a promo code area. Type in SALTY. You get free stuff and a cool character, and it helps you along your way. So head over there to help support the podcast. Totally free. No charge. All right, guys. The next movie on our list is The Truman Show. This is my favorite movie of the week. I'm just going to say that right off the bat.
I'm so glad.
I freaking love this movie.
Do you
Jude,
love this movie?
I do. Tell me what it's all about.
I love this movie too.
I'm so glad. Cheers.
1998, The Truman Show. Rated PG with a runtime of 1 hour 43 minutes. This had a budget of $60 million. What do you think this brought into the box office?
Easy 120.
You
B?
stole my answer. I'll go 110.
All right. $264 million.
Whoa. That was a hit.
Yeah.
But this was a huge movie.
That's awesome. Good for it.
Yeah. Let me just clear my throat really quick because I feel a little tickle. So,
Oh. What are you drinking there, Jude?
Shinerbach.
That is a beer.
Truman Burbank lives with his bitch wife, Wendy Bird, on the beautiful suburban island of Sea Haven. Voted best place on earth to live by the show writers of the world's most popular reality show. Truman was adopted by a television network when he was born and has never known anything other than the counterfeit world he's grown up in, carefully crafted by show creator Christoph, the Man in Black. His best friend Marlon's been lying to him since they were 7 years old, but is a hell of a spokesperson for Penn Pavel's beer. His mom has a master's degree in gaslighting, and the only person who's ever been honest with him is apparently crazy and brings all her boyfriends to that beach before her dad has her committed to a mental hospital in Fiji. Truman can't help but feel like he's being lied to and that everyone's in on it. But that's crazy, right? Discuss.
I freaking love this movie.
It's so good.
It's
I'm so glad you like
freaking
it.
good. I've
Yeah.
loved this movie since the first time I've ever seen it. It's partly because of Jim Carrey's incredible performance, and the rest of it is just like, it's humorous but really dark.
It's such an understated, like, comedic,
yeah.
dark. It's darkly comedic.
A dark comedy?
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But like, and it's like if you think about like the underbelly of this movie, like everything is so
it's
fucked
freaking
up.
Disney
and
World.
we're all complicit.
Yeah.
You
it's-
know, because we're all watching it, we're all perpetuating it, but we're all rooting for him at the same time, and it's sick.
So this one, the actress who plays his wife,
Yeah.
this movie has ruined her for me. I feel so bad.
Have you not watched the Ozarks?
I have.
Because she's awful in that too.
Is she awful in that too?
Oh,
Does
she's
she just play the
fucking
worst characters?
She's the worst.
Okay. So like,
Yeah, you're talking about Laura Linney.
yes, I cannot not see Truman Show anytime I see her on screen. And she, like, if I saw her in person, I would probably be like, oh, no, I don't want to talk to you. You stay away from me. You're an evil person.
Yeah, Laura Linney, you know, it's funny because she's a very good actress, but she always plays these like terrible people.
She's
Yeah.
so good at it.
She,
Yeah.
she really is good at it. But like, you know, Jude's not joking when you watch a show like The Ozarks. She is the worst.
Oh, I hate her so much.
Oh, yeah.
I hate her so much.
Oh man, her
And this is the first movie I think I remember ever seeing her in.
Is it her first movie ever? Or
I don't know if it's her first
I
movie.
don't think so.
But I think it's the first big one that she was
big
in. That she had
blockbuster.
like a
I'll look right
substantial
now.
role in.
This movie messes with your head.
Yeah.
Because it's so convincing at what it does that you start looking at your own life and you're like, cameras at like,
You know, this movie actually created an actual psychological disorder where people believe that they were being followed by cameras, and they call it like the Truman
effect or something like that. Yeah, I believe that. My brother is a big fan of Jim Carrey. When he saw this movie, he kind of went down a really weird rabbit hole. And I remember as a kid, my brother growing up, he was like, "There's freaking cameras everywhere, man."
Well, this isn't the first. Well, I think it was actually the first time, but it's not the only time that Jim Carrey has been in a movie where like there's an undercurrent of psychological disorder as a result. Because like he was in, and then nobody's seen it, but the number 23, where you see the number 23 everywhere, and it causes him to go insane in the movie. I've only seen it once, but my memory of it is that it's like really riveting. But like for me personally, I can remember being a small child and being like, I feel like everyone is watching me, and I feel like everything that I do is under a microscope. And I remember feeling just like this as a child.
The scene where he starts to like connect the dots, when he's going through the revolving door and the music swells and you see his face and he's like, oh my God, like there's something wrong.
The movie showed you when the flip swithed.
Oh yeah.
Switch flipped. Sorry.
When he's sitting in the car and he's like, I predict there's going to be a dented yellow beetle followed by a guy on a bike with flowers or a guy on a bike and then somebody with flowers.
And he's trying to get help.
Yeah.
But everyone's in on it.
It's so creepy and unsettling.
And the radio malfunction.
Yes. And he hears everybody. Yeah.
It's like, okay, he's turning right on First Street and blah, blah, blah.
But
like,
the creepiest moment for me, and the moment that I always like, I look at this movie and I'm like, God damn it, that was freaking genius, is when he's like distressed. He's upset. He's not happy. Everybody around him knows he's kind of losing it. He's questioning his reality. And they're still just pounding in the freaking product placement. And his wife is like, why don't you just relax and I'll make you some nice freaking whatever Orville milk chocolate or whatever. He's like, who the fuck are you talking to?
Yeah. I've had other cocos. This is the best.
He's like, what the fuck is going on? Like that's when he snapped. And I was like, that shit stresses me out.
You know, I'm really thirsty right now. Do you have a Capri Sun or something?
Sure, Vader.
All natural ingredients, Capri Sun. Fruit punch flavor. It's very good.
There's only one Capri Sun. It's great, tasting fun when you punch open one.
He's had other fruit punches before. That one's the best.
Well, you know, guys, so I have some fun facts to share with you. But before we do, I'm just going to take a sip of this refreshing Monster Energy.
0 calorie.
Zero sugar. Way better than the competitors.
Monster Energy. Unleash the beast.
And makes you feel like a monster.
But one of the funny things about this is that, so this was, you know, Jim Carrey up to this point was known for his comedic roles, and he was actually cast in this movie off the strength of Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. And then,
Really?
Yeah, but then like he went on to do Cable Guy and Liar Liar, and they waited for him to do this stuff. But because he was known for his comedic stuff, nobody thought that he'd be able to pull off the dramatic chops that were required of him for this. And so like he had to drop his price for this movie. So instead of his normal $20 million paycheck, he only got $12 million for this
Poor
movie.
guy.
Poor guy.
But it was kind of interesting because this movie kind of came out when I was in film school, and there was a lot of buzz about it because the guy who wrote it, his name's Andrew Niccol, and he went on to write and direct a movie called Gattaca with Ethan Hawke, which is a great movie.
And Uma Thurman, right?
Yeah, and Uma Thurman. And so originally, like he wrote this movie back in 1991, and it was a much darker, more science fiction kind of movie. It was called The Malcolm Show, and it was going to be his directorial debut. He was going to, you know, direct this off a script he wrote. And when it got picked up by Scott Rudin and Paramount, basically like it got like an $80 million budget and all this other stuff. And they were like, you know, we can't give an $80 million budget to a guy who's never directed a movie before. And so they brought in another director named Peter Weir, who did like Dead Poets Society. He's a very like serious director.
I love him.
Yeah. And so like Peter Weir comes in, and he basically is like, oh, this is like way too dark of a movie. And so he starts working with Andrew Niccol to like rewrite it and make it a little bit brighter, a little bit, like more comedic. Like Peter Weir is the one who cast Jim Carrey in this. And one of the interesting things about Peter Weir is that like he came in and basically he wrote backstories for like every character in this movie. And also like the history of the Truman Show and stuff like that. Like he had pages and pages worth of stuff that he created that never made its way into the movie. Like for instance, all the songs on the radio are public domain songs, because in Peter Weir's vision, he was like, there's no way the network's going to pay for royalties for songs that play on the radio. So everything's just public domain. And that's just like a little touch that like, if you don't know about it, when you're watching the movie. That's why it's
all classical music and stuff.
Exactly. And so like, it's little things like that. Like for instance, there's a scene where Truman goes to the travel agency. And basically, this woman comes out, she's got like a little bib on and stuff like that. And the thing is,
she was just in makeup.
Well, the thing is that, so she was like in Peter Weir's backstory, she's an actress who was cast to play the travel agent. And because Truman's never been there before, like she never had anything to do. So she was always just in the back. And when he actually finally comes in, he's sitting there waiting. They had to like do her makeup really quick. And so she comes out and she's like, oh, I was eating lunch, because she still had like the makeup bib on. And it's little things like that Peter Weir added to this. So originally, like it was going to be set in like a Manhattan type city. And Truman was much younger. He was like kind of out of high school. It was going to be more of a psychological thriller than like kind of like a feel good triumph of the human spirit. Like a
Logan's Run type thing, I can imagine.
Well, for instance, like there were things where like they would keep trying to do stuff to push the main character Malcolm in the original script to kind of make things interesting. So for instance, he'd be walking down the street and there would be actors basically pretending to like try and rape a woman, and she'd be calling out for help, and he would just like keep walking. And then like when he was out of earshot, the actors would all stop. It's like, oh man, I thought he'd really like try and do something.
That's fucked up.
Yeah. And so like the original script was a lot of like that really dark stuff that Peter Weir kind of came in and he's like, you know what, I want to make this a little bit different. So like the movie's still kind of dark, but it's dark in a different way.
So I wanted to talk about that let's break this down like nerds. Okay. So we've got this this sphere world, which is probably where that conspiracy theories come from in the beginning.
Well, they just got
it's a dome. The dome world.
City. Yeah.
It's the largest sound stage on the planet Earth. You can see it from space.
Yeah, it's giant. What's powering this
preposterous
thing? It's completely preposterous. It would never work. No. How do you power that? And how many people are involved? So you've got this.
I mean, you can see the Luxor light from space.
Yeah, but the Luxor's a building.
Yeah.
It would be like putting all of Las Vegas under a dome and being like, yeah, we're cool.
Well, I mean, like they're able to power all of Las Vegas and Manhattan and stuff like that. It's no different.
Yeah, they don't have prisons. They just have guys on wheels.
They probably just have a dedicated nuclear power plant for it.
Somebody busted a deal, so they put them on the wheel.
Do you guys think that nuclear power plant within the world is real?
Oh, most definitely. Yeah.
You think that's what's powering it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so that was an actual nuclear plant.
I didn't think about it in that terms. I just think it's a preposterous concept
to have a child raised within a TV show.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past these network.
That's what I was going to say, because they said in the movie that he's the first baby to ever be adopted by a corporation.
Yeah. Think about all of the things he has no knowledge of because it's never been on the show.
Because they can't pay for it because they don't have a copyright claim.
He's never heard of
Star Wars.
Like music that's Beatles.
Yeah.
Alice Cooper. He's never heard of music.
Mm-hmm. And it's also funny, like as you're watching the movie, there's all this propaganda in the background to kind of tell them like, oh, the outside world's bad. Flying is dangerous.
Who needs it?
There's like the smallest things. There's a guy in the background with a newspaper and it says, who needs Europe? Like stay in town or whatever.
The newspaper ads throughout the movie just fucking get me. Because everything that he's like saying to himself in the fucking bathroom mirror, they make a report about it in the paper the next day in order to gaslight him.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah. Oh, that when the light falls from the thing and they're like, well, that was weird. There was an airplane that shredded his parts flying over.
News report.
What the fuck?
Isn't that funny? Yeah. And then when his mom is like, "Oh, look at this picture of us at the
Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore." Yeah. And it was very poorly done.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, that looks small." And she's like,
well,
"Oh,
everything
we were
does.
there. You slept the whole way there. Don't you remember?"
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, it's so like
So fucked up.
Rear
what they're doing to
Window.
this
Like,
kid.
do you remember?
Yeah.
Well, another interesting aspect of this movie is that Peter Weir, the director, and Jim Carrey did not really get along on set, because Peter Weir, he's very much like me. He's like, I planned this movie out. This is exactly how I want things to go. And Jim Carrey's coming on. He's like, I'm going to improv.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, he Nick Caged it.
Yeah, he Nick Caged it. And like a lot of the scenes where he's like in the mirror and he's like drawing out the soap, like all that's like Jim Carrey. And so
Brilliant.
That's
It,
what
it really
that's what
is.
Jim
It really
Carrey
adds
does.
to the character.
Yeah. And Peter Weir was basically like, I think like midway through production, he was like, you know what, I just got to learn how to work Jim Carrey style. And so like he let Jim Carrey improv within certain parameters and stuff like that. And I think it actually works to the strength of the movie, because this was Jim Carrey's first real dramatic role, and nobody thought he'd be able to pull it off.
Yeah.
And he did it perfectly.
And he really portrays this character as a good person, but also such a lonely person.
So this is one of the things I want to talk about. I was trying to think of how to come up to this movie in like the Salty Nerd podcast style. Like, what would be a unique way of looking at this? So there's like activists out there who are like free Truman activists, right? And they try to sneak their way in. And then you've got Ed Harris, who's like the god of this world,
Yes.
trying to keep them in. Whose side are you guys on? Because I was watching this, and I thought real long and hard about this. I watched this movie like 3 times this week to get in preparation for this podcast, and I'm like, I think Ed Harris has a point. Like the world sucks. Like, this dude has curated this perfect world. It's fucked up. Yes, I agree, and it's
It's far from perfect.
It's far from perfect, but when they're like, there's nothing out there for you to go and escape to. It's like, can you imagine? He's the most famous person on the planet.
I mean,
And he has like the knowledge of, he's so sheltered. He
he's
doesn't know,
childlike.
he doesn't know what the real world is like. He's going to leave this dome, go out into the real world, and the world is going to freaking eat him alive.
He's a human being who deserves his own experiences, though. And imagine if you were in this position and somebody said, "Don't do it because I know what's better for you."
Yeah.
You
No,
wouldn't
I'd
okay
be like,
with
fuck
that.
off.
I mean, that's like
What were we
every
gonna-
show.
Sorry, Vader, I cut you
no, it's
off.
cool. I was just it's the dude's in a prison,
Yeah.
and we all should be able to relate just a little bit,
Yeah.
just by living here in Las Vegas. Las Vegas is
A
an
dome.
isolated city in the middle of the desert with literally nothing.
There's only
for 250 miles in every direction.
there's only one highway that leaves.
There might as well be a dome over our city.
Mhm.
And granted, there is a ton of stuff to do here, but you feel isolated here. When you
100%.
live here, you want to leave here. And I get it. And this poor dude has been in this piece of crap little
See,
oceanside town, which would drive me crazy anyway. But I can kind of relate on a weird level, and I think we all kind of can.
yeah, and just to
because just where we live.
I almost moved to Virginia last year because I just
Yeah.
wanted to get out of town.
you are 100% correct. I never thought of it in that perspective. But like, if you've ever been to Las Vegas and you've taken a road trip from Las Vegas, like, it is desolate
Yeah.
and scary. And that's the predicament that they put him in intentionally in this. Like, driving anywhere outside of here, like, it's the fucking
Yeah,
desert.
you might-
It's
you-
the
you might as well be on
wilderness.
Mars.
Yeah.
We saw tumbleweed in the street the other day and we were like, oh my God.
It's like, you better have a full tank of gas and
Yeah.
a couple gallons of water in the back seat.
I mean, yeah.
You need to take provisions, and I'm not being sarcastic.
No.
Like there's nothing, no gas stations, no power lines. You have no signal. Like, once you leave Las Vegas,
for at least an hour.
it's a dead zone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's exactly what they're putting him in. It's a prison.
And one of the interesting kind of like thematic aspects of this movie is that, Ed Harris's character, Christoph, he basically is like representative of God, right? Like he has like complete control over, this whole like town. Everyone kind of caters to his every whim. And he is basically the one who watched over Truman from the moment that, he was born pretty much, and, watched him grow up and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And so like the real thing comes down to like, like, what does it mean to truly be free? Does that mean that like you have to snub your creator and go off and like do your own thing? Like, at what point does the triumph of the human spirit, which is what Truman kind of represents, the true man, at what point does that kind of like overshadow like faith and religion and belief and, you know, like the reality with which we're presented? At what point do we choose to face our own reality as opposed to the reality that's presented to us? And it's like, there are very deep themes to this movie, which I think makes it like way more interesting. But in the original script, so it was Peter Weir who decided to end the movie when Truman like leaves the dome, right? And we don't find out what happens afterwards, but in Andrew Niccol's original script, he leaves the building, goes into the studio, meets Christoph face to face and kills him. And that's where the movie ended, where basically man kills God in order to truly be free.
Whoa.
Yeah. So like Andrew Niccol's original script was much, much different than what this movie ended up being.
That's crazy. So my next question that I wanted to pose to you guys to kind of give it an SMP twist is, how would you have kept Truman in? Like, these people that he's with, and his wife especially, are like the worst people at making him feel happy and comforted. Like what would you have changed to be like, this guy needs something different?
Giving him a girlfriend? Oh, no, he had a wife. So
Yeah,
I
but
don't
she
know.
sucks.
She was
They should
terrible.
have given him the girlfriend that he wanted.
Right. Yeah. The girl, like Dr. Halsey from Halo, that's the same actress, right? Am I correct in that? Or am I having a stroke? Okay. So it's the same actress. Like, they were naturally attracted to each other. They liked each other. I think the reason why they didn't want her is because she, even from the very beginning when they were in like college or high school or whatever it was when they first met, she wanted to get him out. She was already a free Truman activist at that point.
Yeah, but didn't you get the impression that that perspective that she was taking on it came directly from them saying, don't do this, don't do that, don't talk to this, don't talk to that.
Yeah.
They were even telling her like, you're not allowed to talk to him. We see that he likes you, but you're not allowed to talk to him. And then don't you think that changed her perspective? Like, oh, this is bad. Horrible.
Oh yeah, they just
I need to help
militarized
him.
her.
Yeah. If they had just pacified the people in his inner circle, and especially him, and kept everybody happy and just gave him a longer leash, they wouldn't have had to work so hard to get him to stay there.
Right. I agree. Yeah.
If they had actually made him a happy person, but that's not good TV.
The other thing too is, how screwed up is it that everybody was watching this show?
That's the worst
Well,
part.
no, that's real life.
That's Well, I'm going to talk about that with
human beings. We're all just rubberneckers for stupid
Sure.
shit.
the gladiators.
You just got to say the word Kardashians and.
Well, yeah. Well, when we talk about EdTV, EdTV is just, it's fucking YouTube.
Oh yeah,
it's Logan Paul.
Yeah, this movie though, man, I have a hard time with this movie.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't like this movie?
I do not like this.
That's
movie.
weird. Hold on, real quick before you get into your salt. I just want to let everybody know that this Dr. Pepper Cherry Zero Sugar is really refreshing, and I'm going to add it to my gin and tonic. Oh.
I'm a pepper, he's a pepper, she's a pepper, we're a pepper. Wouldn't you like to be a pepper too?
That sounds just refreshing.
Oh, it's red. That scared me.
It's cherry.
Okay. Cool.
Made with real cherries.
I lost my train of thought.
23 different flavors.
You were going
to dump some salt. You were going to tell
about like how much you hate this movie.
Why do you hate this movie?
You
don't like artsy fartsy Jim Carrey
No,
movies.
and that's it. This is an artsy fartsy Jim Carrey movie.
Okay.
And I don't like artsy fartsy movies.
You hate
and,
Eternal Sunshine too, don't you?
Oh, I'm not watching that fucking movie. Fuck you.
I've never seen it either.
And
that's another one I love.
No.
I'd probably like it, but I just don't have a desire to watch it.
Eternal Sunshine, what's the John Malkovich movie where he's like goes in the cabinet and shit?
I love that movie too.
Being John Malkovich.
Yeah, that movie fucking sucks. I just cannot
That is
get into
actually
these.
really good. Sorry.
Anyway, I'm not a fan of this type of a movie.
What would
I didn't like the way the piano music was in the background and the artsy fartsy music.
He was like, "Quit making me quit trying to make me feel."
Well, kind of.
But that's the thing,
isn't my
though.
kind of movie. I don't like these kind of movies.
Because that music
Yeah,
that you're
I get
talking
it.
about
I didn't like it.
No, but that's the point.
I know, and I didn't like it.
So the movie is succeeding in making you feel uncomfortable.
The movie is
And irritating
succeeding
you.
and just annoying me and not ever making me want to watch it again.
Okay, but keep in mind that Vader is the person who's like, "Oh, you want me to do that?"
Fuck
No.
you.
I mean, this is just if this is the kind of movie we watch every week, I wouldn't do this show. I just say, fuck you guys, I'm not doing this. I'm out.
Well, next month it's just like
So,
it's space month.
This is the kind of movie, you know, people like Kadish go to film school to learn to have to like make, oh, this is such a great thought-provoking, arty, fuck whatever movie, you know, and it's just like, what? I don't want to watch it.
Okay.
You know, my fucking voice is done. But no, this is just, it's a artsy fartsy. Well, look, everybody, Jim Carrey can act, and he can also come out of a rhino's ass and be funny. you know, it's just like, ugh. No, I don't like dramatic. He can act Jim Carrey movies. I just don't. So.
I think the thing that used to be the appeal to Jim Carrey is that no matter what he was in, he was always likable. Like it's just like, oh, Jim Carrey, you know, like whether he's doing drama or comedy, it's just like, oh, I like Jim Carrey. And nowadays he's gotten to the point where like, you know, he's just like, I don't care. You know, so like it's hard to still have those same feelings for him. But this movie came out at the height of his like popularity.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think Jim Carrey is an amazing actor. Don't get me wrong. I mean, his Andy Kaufman movie, holy shit. That's
like that?
You like that, but you don't like this?
I appreciate his performance in that. It's a weird movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I appreciate his performance in that.
He did some fucked up
He
method
was
acting
some
shit.
severe method acting in there.
Like way worse than what Jared Leto's been doing lately.
Yeah, and it like permanently fucked him up.
Yeah.
But this isn't my kind of movie, and I don't really know what else to say other than that, because it's just,
that's fair. Hey man,
it's just
like movies are not going to be for everybody.
No.
But I enjoy this both because it's like a dark comedy, because it's still funny.
I look at like Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
And it's like 99% for the critics and 97% or whatever for the public. And I'm like, what a bunch of pretentious assholes. That many people did not like this fucking movie.
But it's well written, it's well acted. There's nothing.
I think it's
thought provoking.
It's one of these movies like, oh, this is such a thought provoking and well acted movie. I really enjoy this. This makes me feel so much better for liking what a fancy movie is supposed to be like. It's like, no, man, give me some fucking lasers and King Kong and shit.
I dig it.
I feel like he's attacking me specifically.
I'm not attacking you at all. I just don't think people
Have another Capri Sun.
I don't think people are honest with themselves when they say they like this shit.
I did.
I really don't.
I do. I've watched it. I watched it 3 times this week. And it's a regular watch.
I watched this
You
movie
would
a
watch
lot.
Velocipaster 3 times.
Fuck that movie.
If it was on our list to watch.
I've also watched Velocipaster.
Kill me first. I am not
Oh,
watching that.
Who do you think is the
goddamn
biggest
movie.
villain? Is it Christoph, or is it like
It's his best friend.
it's his best friend? I think too.
Yeah, his best friend's been there from the beginning, even
And
before his
is
wife.
Totally fine with it too.
Yeah,
So there was a deleted scene in this movie where basically when they're searching for Truman after like he escapes, the best friend finds him and chooses to let him go to show that he actually does care about Truman.
Oh,
But they decided to just get rid of
so
that.
he's like yeah. They just made him a full on
Let's just
villain.
make everybody a disingenuous.
You kind of
piece
have
shit.
to be a piece of shit to be in on this, though.
Yeah.
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 Like,
I mean, think about his parents.
oh,
Because they're not his
he's
parents.
never actually had parents.
Yeah.
He's gonna go out into the. This is another reason too, which made me think like if he does go out in the real world, it's gonna be the death of him.
Oh yeah, he wouldn't be able to
he's
do
not-
zero
anything.
support. He's
not-
going to have a bunch of fake friends
Yeah.
that just think because he's famous.
Oh no, he's going to have Natasha McElhenney,
The one chick who
whoever.
actually cares for him.
and he'll probably have like tons of sponsorship deals and tons of money, and he'll probably be. He's already
gonna
world
need
famous.
lots of therapy.
Remember, Chosen is in this.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for reminding me. You remember when it flashes to like different families watching?
Mm-hmm.
The Asian family is chosen from Karate Kid 2 and also Cobra Kai.
No shit.
Yeah.
I thought I recognized him, but I
Yeah.
didn't want to be like that dude who was like,
Yeah.
oh, he looks familiar.
I love it when this
He looks
happens.
like every Asian guy I've ever seen.
I have this thing for faces, and I can't remember anybody's name.
Right.
But like it flashed for like a second, and I was like, "Kiddish, was that chosen?" He's like, "Nah," and I was like, "Bullshit."
Google.
I was like, rewind it.
Google.
Sure enough.
I'm reminded watching, because we have a plane over here next to us. It reminds me of Vision and Scarlet Witch, the television show.
Yes.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
I think they
I
probably
didn't like that show either.
they probably pulled a lot from that or from this movie into that show.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the best friend is probably the worst case of, or maybe his mom. I guess technically his mom knew him longer. his fake mom
We
who
don't
would gaslit him.
We don't get a lot about her away from him though. But like the scenes with Marlon, the best friend, and Kristoff, where he's like, like he's a totally different person. He's just like, yep, want to get this all wrapped up so we can get back on, like, and he's
a company
he just
man.
seems so fine with it that it's heart wrenching. And then he's just taking Kristoff's words and is like, infusing the emotion into it. And he's like, Truman, I would never lie to you.
Oh.
And getting into his head. And he's like, I'd have to be in on it too, buddy.
The fact that
it's so...
Me and Jude are going to go off on this. The fact that was not even his own feelings. It was Ed Harris feeding him lines through an earpiece.
Yeah.
And he's like, say this.
Yeah.
And the next say this.
Yeah.
And then the way he sells it.
Also, where's that earpiece?
I don't know. There's a weird technology gap going on here.
Yeah.
Where's all the cameras?
Yeah, well, they have shitty ass freaking like webcams
Button
like
cams.
hidden in places and
Button
stuff
cams.
like that. Yeah, button cams and all that kind of nonsense. But yeah, it's a freaking good ass movie. It's thought provoking. It's funny when it needs to be funny, and it's real dark when it needs to be dark.
Every time they do a product placement, and Truman's like, "That's cool, I
Weird.
guess."
Like that's the other thing too is how terribly is this place managed to where like they can't come up with a better, like we come up with better ways of doing product placement.
Yeah, but
just
we're
for the
all
podcast.
involved. We're not trying to keep somebody else in the room unawares.
It's like Vader. Have you ever played Dragon Champions? It's a dope ass game, dude. You need to
that's pretty
download
cool.
it.
What if you put salty in the promo code?
Yeah, you get free stuff, man. It's
That's
cool.
really
I like free stuff.
Go download Dragon Champions. It's cool, man. Like it's and then the fact that they can't keep people out. Like there's this one dude who parachutes in. Like they're really bad at their job.
Yeah, how do you parachute into a dome?
He had to have crawled up the side on the outside and like found a hatch.
Suction cups.
Suction cupped up, like found a hatch.
Drilled a hole in the top of the hatch.
And then jumped.
Did they build this dome while he was growing up, and how did they insert him into the dome?
I think it was already. I think it was built beforehand.
They had 9 months to create the dome.
And then
now it's been 30 years, so no wonder the lights are fucking dropping off.
You can't pour a fucking cement slab in 9 months around here, much less a giant, mile wide, 20-mile wide dome.
Yeah. When that rainstorm happens and it's just literally isolated to where Truman's standing and it follows him around, really weird. I'm like, these people suck at their job.
Yeah. How about the rainstorm when he's trying to sail away and Kristoff is like, I'm going to kill him.
Oh, that was dark. And they're like, you can't kill a man on live TV. Why not? He was born here. I was like, holy shit.
He ties himself to the boat.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm not going to, because he falls off.
Me and Jude, we'll be right back. Me and Jude are going to go talk about this movie for another hour.
He falls off the boat. And then he finally gets back on the boat. He ties himself to it and he's screaming because he knows the fucking jig is up. He's like, "Is that the best you've got?"
Yeah, he pulls a Lieutenant Dan.
To kill me.
Yeah.
And Kristoff is like, "Copy that, Chief." And he literally is about to kill him and drown him in a hurricane that he creates.
Yeah.
Can we make like a Mel Brooks style reality TV movie?
That's EdTV. We're going to talk about that one next.
We should probably give it a final rating.
Yeah. So this is artsy fartsy nonsense, non-nerdy,
not in my wheelhouse bullshit movie.
Okay. Rating?
I'm going to give it a real person score.
Okay.
I'm going to say this is probably a 2.5 stars at the most. And I don't believe everybody when they say they just love this stupid artsy fartsy movie. No, thank you. Never going to watch it again. And I'm angry you guys made me watch it.
Kind of hurt my feelings a little bit.
I don't care. I don't think you're being real with yourself.
I love this movie. Jude, final rating.
Well, I just want to say that...
Can't hold it together, Jude. Come on, you got to sell it.
I forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, I love this movie. I love this movie. I watch it a lot. I watch it maybe not every year, but I do watch it a lot.
Yeah, it's a regular.
I revisit this movie a lot.
Yeah.
And when we started, this was the theme of the show was my idea, and because I wanted to build a show around this movie. I think it's so well done, and I love all of the product placement and the things that they do to kind of try and make the show work, because that's where they're getting the budget for the show is through the product placement.
Yeah.
Everyone is such an awful character except for Truman. I do wonder what they do with the camera when he jerks off.
I was wondering the same thing.
Oh my
His
God, I'm
teenage
so glad.
years. What were they doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
How many times is he gonna beat it today?
That's gotta be a poll on the internet, dude.
How much shit in his house did he fuck?
Yeah. How many girlfriends has he had?
Wait, what?
Because the two fucking
No, I mean like, when little boys are becoming big boys and then they just like find things to put their dicks in.
That's
how much do you know about little boys?
I've had several boyfriends.
I never like fucked weird things.
Yeah, I never fucked weird things either,
apple
Jude.
Oh my
pie
God,
thing
I've
is
only
real.
dated freaks. No offense, babe.
What kind of things have you fucked?
You don't want to know.
No, but I legit like.
Hashtag not all men.
I don't know,
It's
man.
like me and Vader are like.
that weird bat mask behind you is looking pretty good right now.
Maybe
I'm gonna go stick my dick into
I've had several
it.
boyfriends who were like, yeah, if you put the couch cushions together, or like I had one boyfriend that used to slam his dick in a drawer.
What the fuck?
Wow.
I thought it was everyone.
Vader, we're normal.
Maybe you're not.
I'll take it.
I don't smash my dick into fucking
Yeah,
drawers
but
to
you
get
like
off.
this weird movie, so whatever.
Kadish, what's your artsy
I didn't give it a
fartsy?
rating.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead,
You
Jude.
started talking about us sticking our things in weird places. You don't get a rating.
5 dick drawers out of 5.
I give it four dick drawers out of 5.
Fucking dick drawer.
I did wonder what they did with his teenage years because he's done some fucked up shit, and it's all on camera.
I feel really bad, really weird about me saying that now. I didn't know that wasn't all boys. I
didn't
just
do that
assumed
shit.
it was all boys.
Nope.
I've
Kadish,
dated a lot of people.
give it your artsy fartsy film school rating.
So I'm not surprised that Alex likes this movie as much as he does, because it's one of those question your reality movies, which is right up Alex's alley. Very conspiracy kind of laden. I'm not surprised that Vader hates it as much as he does, because he doesn't like to think about movies. He just likes to look at them and turn his brain on. This movie works on a lot of different levels. Like there's lots of interesting themes to this movie. Peter Weir is a very talented filmmaker, and he brought a lot of depth to this movie. Andrew Niccol had a very kind of creative screenplay behind it. Jim Carrey's great in it. Everything about this movie is really, really good. It's not like a regular watch for me, but like I appreciate the movie on many different levels because it is an entertaining movie, but at the same time it makes you think. And it also has a lot of good social commentary and explores like, different themes about modern society and voyeurism and, kind of like our reality TV culture and stuff like that. And, just if you go on YouTube nowadays, you see people putting videos of their family up and people like subscribe to their channels because they want to see this crazy family doing crazy stuff. So a lot of it's like still relevant today, like the themes that the movie tackles. And it's just a damn good movie. It's like a very solidly well-made, well-told story. And I agree that it is a 4-star film. So that's my rating for it.
Yep.
I'm happy I could bring the average down.
I agree. This is a 4-star movie for me. I love it. It's a regular watch for me, at least once a year.
Well, at least it's not like Wayne's World good.
Was that? Did they give that a 5-star? What the fuck?
That's because it is a 5-star movie. Wayne's World's great.
The rating system's fucked. I love this movie. It's a regular watch. At least once a year, I'll pop in Truman Show just to kind of get that itch. I think it's phenomenal. I love this movie. It's the best of the week. I don't know what else to say. It's great. I love it.
You
It's
scratch
awesome.
that dick drawer itch with it.
No. I scratched the I want to see Jim Carrey do something cool itch, and it's like either Dumb and Dumber, Truman Show, or maybe Ace Ventura. I'm a big fan of freaking. What the fuck happened to Jude?
My brain went to a weird place.
Yeah, she's having flashbacks of all her former
You always
boyfriends.
see me itching. Yeah, I want to itch Jim Carrey's dick.
I just pictured you watching this and standing in front of a dresser of drawers.
Man, I thought this was going to be like the one show I could let my wife listen to.
Nope.
Can't do it.
Welcome to the Salty Nerd Podcast, where we talk about weird ass shit. All right, guys. The next movie on our list is EdTV, starring our favorite freaking Texan. All right. I can't remember his fucking name.
Matthew McConaughey.
Thank you.
Owen Wilson.
Boy, that Dr. Pepper cherry really fucked you up.
I took a bottle off the shelf and put some gin in it.
He spiked it. Like
All right. Yeah, EdTV. We'll be right back, guys. We're going to talk about that and in a second.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Welcome back, everybody. Hey, if you want to support the show, go to saltynerdstore.com and grab some of our merch. The support goes a long way, guys. So I don't want you guys to feel like you buy a shirt and only a small percentage goes to the podcast. It's actually a pretty significant amount. Shout out to the guys over at mixtees.com. They've been helping us out a lot. So head over to saltynerdstore.com. We have a ton of cool shirts there. You can get the classic Salty Nerd podcast logo shirt, which is my personal favorite. I think it looks the best. Vader's rocking it right now. It's a great shirt. Head over there, support the podcast, and
also get our Sega Salty.
Yeah, the Sega Salty shirt as well. Katie's just rocking. I'm just rocking a classic black tee right now, but
which you cannot find on the store.
Well, I mean, I guess you could buy like a plain black T-shirt. Well, fuck it, why not?
Is Jude's shirt available on the store too?
Yes, it is. I think so. If it's not, it will be by the time this goes out. I'll make sure to.
That's from Teen Wolf, right?
It is. Yeah. What are you looking at? Dick knows.
Styles, the man.
What are you looking at? Dick knows.
Yeah, and Jude's gonna go get her taxes done wearing that shirt later.
I love it.
100%.
Or 80s tits.
80s tits too. Didn't you go to the grocery store with the 80s tits
Sure
shirt on?
did.
I love it.
I wore this out to eat one night.
I remember when I took her out to eat and she was wearing that shirt and I pointed it out to her and she was like, "Oh, I forgot to change."
And just prior to that, I was like, I wonder what he's fucking looking at.
He's like, God.
And then I was like, oh, fuck, missed opportunity. I should have said, what are
What are
you
you
looking at, Dick Nose?
Yeah, there was some guy who was just staring at her boobs.
I totally just ripped off Teen Wolf and made that shirt. It's great. It's a good shirt.
Yeah.
Well, it's a shirt that Styles wears in the actual movie, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. The other one is up on the store too. Like Life Sucks and Then You Die or something like that, I think too.
Very uplifting.
I love it.
Yeah.
SaltyNerdStore.com, guys. Get some cool ass shirts. All right. The next movie on our list, EdTV, starring Matthew McConaughey. Take it away, Jude.
1999, EdTV, rated PG-13 with a runtime of 2 hours, 2 minutes. This had a budget of $80 million.
What?
What do you think this brought into the box office?
Oh, that's overpriced. I don't know. 100 million.
Vader?
122.
$35 million,
Oh, it
boys.
bombed. Matthew McConaughey was not a box office draw at this point.
Well, Woody Harrelson was.
Yeah, but he was barely in this movie.
No, he was not.
Is Woody Harrelson actually a box office draw?
No, he's like a plucky sidekick.
Yeah, he's a plucky. I mean, he's a good ass actor.
Everybody loves everything he's ever been in, but
Has he ever starred in his own
Natural Born Killers.
Defender.
White Man Can't Jump.
Those.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
The Cowboy Way.
The murderer.
I wouldn't call him a leading man.
The one where he's a serial killer.
Yeah.
What's that one called?
Natural Born Killers.
Natural Born Killers.
I didn't like that movie.
That was
That's a dark movie.
Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
Right? Was it Robert Rodriguez too? Well, I can't fucking.
No, Tarantino wrote that movie and Oliver Stone directed it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Didn't
Very
Tarantino say he
controversial.
didn't like it? I think he said he was like he wasn't happy with the end product.
Oliver Stone changed the script.
Yeah,
a lot.
Oliver Stone is hack. Anyway,
Too much cocaine.
I love it.
Ed Picerni is a regular guy with no real ambition, but lots of Texas charm. His brother, Woody Harrelson, is kind of a bro. His mom's kind of a hoe. And his sister's got no business being in a bar because she's an alcoholic, which nobody needed to know about, until Ellen decides to make Ed the star of a new 24-hour-a-day reality show. Suddenly, everyone knows who Ed is and when he goes to the bathroom, which is fine until family secrets and dirty laundry start getting aired. Now the world knows Dharma's natural-born killer boyfriend has been cheating on her with a thong-wearing redhead. Ed's mom cheated on both Dennis Hopper and Martin Landau, and somebody put Jenna Elfman's boobs on the internet. But 90% of people polled say Ed tried hard enough. The studio sets him up with Elizabeth Hurley, an actress who just happens to be at the park with Ellen's dog while Ed's there with his friends. Things start to heat up with the she-devil, and ratings are on fire until Ed destroys her pussy, and now he's the butt of all the late-night TV jokes. Ed's so over having his life on TV all the time, but the studio doesn't want to let him go. When Ed tries to quit the show, Rob Reiner explains what breach of contract means and sends Ed packing. Not willing to bow to the authority of Marty DeBurgi, famed Spinal Tap documentarian, Ed uses the cameras to his advantage and gives the viewers a call to action. Dig up dirt on the showrunners so he can blackmail them into canceling the show. It's a plan so crazy, It just might work.
This fucking movie. I want real quick before we get into it, I want to give a nice big happy salty nerd shout out to Anima Confusa, 2-time trivia master, Patreon of the podcast. Her review of this movie is, this didn't need to be 2 hours. Other than that, it was fun.
I think she summed it up.
Yeah. That's it. That's the podcast for today, guys. Thanks for joining us.
I think Matthew McConaughey is charming.
Yeah.
And I think Woody Harrelson is hilarious.
I think he's a dick in this movie.
Yeah.
But it's so funny.
I didn't like him.
He's
at
such
all.
an over the top.
My brother pissed on me.
And he's on a talk show, and they're like, "So did your brother actually piss on you?" And he's just sitting there in his raised gym shirt. He's like, "I put it in the book. Just go read the book.
It's all in the book.
Yeah.
It's all in the book."
Yeah,
And it's
Bill Maher's
Bill
interviewing him about this book he wrote that was like a tell-all about like his time with Matthew McConaughey's Ed. And it's called My Brother Pissed All Over Me. And Bill Maher's like, I haven't read it because it looks stupid.
Yeah.
But did your brother actually piss on you? And Woody Harrelson's like, it's in the book. Just read the book.
I put everything in the book.
Yeah.
And when Matthew McConaughey first sees the book, he's like, Ray wrote a book? He doesn't even read.
Yeah. Matthew McConaughey is Matthew McConaughey. So he does these romantic type comedies, or he did back in the day. It's actually a funny story I recently learned because I was listening to a podcast about Matthew McConaughey, and he came on for an interview.
Really?
And
What podcast?
I don't fucking remember. Anyway, he was talking. He's like, yeah, I was stuck in this like feedback loop of romantic comedies, and like literally the only scripts I would be getting in my mailbox was romantic comedy movies. And he's like, I had enough. It was like me on a beach with a 6-pack, romantic comedy, like for like years. And I'm like, oh yeah, those are some of my favorite freaking Matthew McConaughey movies. Yeah. He does really well in them.
How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Yeah, or Fool's Gold or stuff like that. It's just,
you do love Fool's Gold.
I fucking love that movie. I'd watch it all the time. Anyway, it's Kate Hudson's so freaking hot in that movie.
I like that one.
Anyway, but he was like, yeah, they kept sending me, and he's like, I just flat out refused to do any of them for like almost a full entire year. I was getting all these scripts, and these studios were like, we'll give you more money if you do this script. We'll give you more. He's like, I turned down a script for a romantic comedy for $14.2 million. And they were like, we'll give you this much money. And he's like, nah, not doing it. And he's like, that's how he broke the loop. And he started doing other different movies after that. I was like, well, good for him.
Good for him.
He did that weird space movie, which I don't know if that paid off. Yeah.
Interstellar's freaking dope.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's a dope ass count.
Okay.
Every space movie to Jude is weird in some way. She's not a sci-fi.
Yeah,
he did do Dallas Buyers Club though, and that was amazing.
That's Christopher Nolan freaking space movie though, dude. That's like next level.
He did Sahara.
I love Sahara.
I do like
I
Sahara.
love Sahara. That movie's so fun.
It's fun.
Anyway, this movie, I don't know, dude. Like, I don't dislike it. It's definitely not his best. There's a lot of weird things about it. I will say though, like within the universe of this movie, this is just fucking Logan Paul's life. Mm-hmm. It's like the only reason why he's famous is because he made a video that made him famous. Like that, I don't know what that dude did.
I loathe reality TV culture.
Yeah, me too.
I hate it. I absolutely loathe it.
Yep.
The Kardashians.
Yep.
Logan Paul stuff.
Right.
Says the guy who's on the show.
Well, there's a lot of these.
We don't follow him home.
There's a lot of these YouTubers that try to do this kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Gene Simmons show. What was that show that he was on with his family? It's like, can you whore your family out?
Oh, wasn't
Family Jewels?
Alice Cooper was on that.
Wasn't Ozzy Osbourne? Didn't he have a reality?
Ozzy did that thing, and we're just gonna follow the family around for.
No reason.
And you destroy your kids, destroy your family. Mm-hmm. It's mostly it's scripted. There's nothing fucking real about any of this shit. And it's just a bad take on culture. I hate it that we've made people like the Kardashians for making a fucking porno flick with her boyfriend. And that they turn that into, though this is like one of the richest families in the world from a goddamn fuck film. It's unbelievable.
Did you see that recent video of Kardashian where she was like people just don't want to get up and work. Get off your ass and go to work. And I was like, fuck you.
I'm not talking shit about their work ethic, you know, because they do. They work at being whatever it is they do. But
if you want to call that
the
work.
fact that we as a society lift these people up on a pedestal and exonerate these people and make them so fucking rich and famous and powerful, it's just amazing to me. I do not understand the fascination with people getting into other people's lives.
Do you watch any of that stuff?
Fuck no.
Neither do I. Do you watch any of that stuff? No.
It's just,
Who's watching this stuff?
You know, I watched Ozzy a little bit because it's Ozzy and he was kind of funny.
It's the Prince of Darkness, right?
You know? And I watched a little bit of the.
Became sad.
Yeah, and I watched a little bit of the Gene Simmons one, and just because it's Gene Simmons, and you know the metalhead in me is curious. But then you start finding out this stuff that they come up with in these shows. It's like that isn't real. That's not real. Well, it doesn't happen to people.
Even within this movie,
it's just incredible. You know, and it's just like how they set the thing up with the dog,
right?
In this movie, you know, and how they started throwing things at people. It's just
Ellen,
this isn't real. It's bullshit, and it's bullshit in the real world. And I just the whole culture that has sprung up from this thing, and I go, like I said earlier in the show, I blame the real world on MTV. It's like I don't give a fuck how real your world is and what happens when you put 12 strangers in a room.
They rebooted the original cast.
Yeah,
you know
it's just I could care less. It's just awful to me. It's like, of course, people are going to argue when you put strangers in a room that are completely come from different backgrounds. People are very tribal. People are going to congregate with people that they are comfortable with. You know, that's just life. That's how human beings react. And I don't understand the fascination that people have with other people's business. I don't. I just don't.
So in this movie, Ellen DeGeneres is kind of like the producer of this EdTV TV show that she's making. And like the dog thing that you mentioned, like this chick comes and she's trying to like hit on Ed. She's trying to get him away from his girlfriend that he kind of has a kind of like on again, off again type of relationship. They're like, well, she's rating low with the audience. We need to bring in a new girlfriend. So she brings in this other chick who's like a supermodel from freaking Europe or whatever. And they're like, they give her a dog.
You do know who Elizabeth Hurley is, right?
Yeah, she's from other movies. Yeah, I know who she is.
Fine.
Alex doesn't know who Elizabeth Hurley is.
It's whatever.
Bakula.
She's in that other movie.
This is another Bakula
She's
moment.
in that like Brendan Fraser movie, and she's in some other shit, and she's famous for some reasons.
Okay, continue.
Yeah. And she's got the dog, and it's all curated. But there was another one that they never really said black and white whether or not it was curated, but it was the father coming back into his life.
Yeah.
Where somebody's like, did you write this? And Ellen DeGeneres like, I didn't do any of this stuff. I'm like, bitch, yes, you did. Like, that dude had no idea what was going on in the real. He's a lowlife. He has no job. He's got no money.
He doesn't even remember his other children.
But he pops. Yeah, he didn't even remember that it was Ed and not his brother. I don't remember what it. Ray, yeah.
Ray's Jim.
That's right, yeah. So I was like, yeah, that's all. Like, Ellen DeGeneres is the Ed Harris character from Truman Show. She's the one who's like creating this whole facade.
I feel this is more of a realistic take on the whole genre.
Well, this is just YouTube culture, dude. This is just
YouTube culture before YouTube, for sure.
Exactly.
You know, it reminds me of just how, you know, I'm going to probably go off on a little rant again, but
that's fine.
These shows, they cater to the absolute
lowest common
lowest part of society. It's like, what was some of these, like Dr. Pimple Popper? Oh, we're going to watch a doctor pop pimples and gross ass shit on TV. You know, shows like,
wait, they have a TV show about that?
Yeah. They just follow this doctor.
I thought it was just YouTube channel.
Fucking, you know, there's entire networks that have sprung up over this kind of television, and it's disgusting. And it's, you know, and it's MTV's fault. Like, again, you know, what's the one where they follow around the teenage kids that get knocked up?
What?
16 and pregnant?
18 and pregnant.
Single mom.
It's absolutely brutal. It's just, and there's just.
So you're telling me if the podcast gets big enough, you don't want to have a camera crew follow you around all your life?
No, I'm on YouTube and shit enough as it is.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it kind of gets related to like this whole Twitch and YouTube culture with people playing video games. You know, it's like
what's interesting about all three of the movies that we watched for this episode is that they all were coming out around the time period that reality TV was kind of like coming to the forefront, because it was TV that could be made on the cheap with like no name people, and networks were just all over it. And it looked like reality TV was basically taking over network TV around the time that all this stuff was going on. And this movie in particular, so basically this is a Ron Howard movie. Ron Howard directed this movie, and it suffers from the same thing all Ron Howard movies suffer from, which is extreme mediocrity. Like all of Ron Howard's movies are extremely mediocre.
Are you calling Willow mediocre?
Yes.
Thank you.
This is actually a movie based on a Canadian film called Louis the 19th, King of the Airwaves. And in this Canadian movie, it's about...
I like EdTV better.
In this Canadian movie, it's about this guy named Louis, who basically gets cast to have, his life filmed like 24 hours a day. But in that movie, the producers, like, because this guy's so boring, they start doing stuff to make his life like more dramatic and make the show more exciting. And so like they start torching this guy on live TV basically by putting him in all these situations where, like bad stuff happens or awkward stuff happens or like whatever, which is basically what reality TV really is. Because you remember when we talked to Arthur Borman, the writer and director of And God Spoke,
right?
And he's basically moved into reality TV, and he told us about like it's all scripted basically. Like they come up with scenarios that they put these people in, and that's how they create the drama.
That's how you control it.
Exactly.
You have to be able to control it. It's
Exactly.
television.
But like, I can remember when this movie came out, and first of all, the marketing for this movie was horrible, which is one of the reasons why it flopped. Because basically the Truman Show and this movie were being developed at the same time, and nobody thought the Truman Show was going to be as successful as it was, because Jim Carrey was like a comedic actor, and so like they were like, well, he's trying to do a drama that's probably going to flop. We're trying to do a comedy. And of course, this movie is not really funny enough to be considered a comedy. But regardless of that, the marketing for this tried to really play up the comedic elements of the movie, and it's not truly like a laugh out loud comedy type thing.
Right. Yeah.
It's kind of
situational comedy every once in a while with like what is going on in the show, and
it's kind of like ironic comedy and social commentary and stuff like that. And so like the marketing for this movie was all over the place. Matthew McConaughey was not a huge actor at the time. Jenna Elfman was coming off of Dharma and Greg, but like Hollywood kept trying to make her into something more than she was.
I always liked her.
Is that the chick from Grey's Anatomy?
No.
Okay, I thought that was her. They did her dirty in this movie. Like they did not make her look good in any way. She was. They was unflattering in every circumstance.
And what's funny is that so Dennis Hopper shows up as Matthew McConaughey's father in this movie. And Dennis Hopper was originally cast as Christoph in the Truman Show, and he was on set for one day before he walked off because he didn't get along with Peter Weir. and so like they brought in Ed Harris to replace him, and Ed Harris had like a week to prep before like his stuff started shooting. But it's kind of funny that Dennis Hopper left that movie and then hopped over to EdTV for his like little miniature role in this movie.
And it bombed.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But in a weird way, like I find this movie is more authentic than the other two movies in terms of like the reality TV experience. Because I mean, like if you go on Twitch right now, the IRL channel has like people doing this stuff all the time, and it can be fascinating, especially like if the person's interesting or like what have you. But this was way before any of that stuff. And in a way it kind of almost predicted it. Yeah. Like the whole influencer culture. So like, for instance, there's a scene in here where Ed is on like the Tonight Show, and as he's leaving backstage, he's like, hey, do you want any sodas for the ride to the airport? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, Coke or Pepsi? And he's like, Pepsi. And then like in a different scene,
the next day.
Yeah. The next day.
They deliver like a whole Pepsi.
He's completely sponsored by Pepsi. Yeah. It's ludicrous, but I do agree with you. It did predict a lot of what our modern culture is like with the online internet, because everybody has a camera, everybody can upload videos. And if you're interesting to the lowest common denominator,
well, it's ruined network television.
For sure. Yeah.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Well, I don't know. We don't do the same thing though, because we're
not
not following ourselves.
We're not a reality show.
We're not a reality show. We're a talk show.
Yeah.
Keep telling yourself that.
It's just, I don't know, dude. It was a weird movie. I don't hate, like I said, I don't hate it.
I found it the most real of the ones that we watched.
It is the most authentic.
But at the same time, like no reality TV is real. And it's just so infuriating that we're in this like cycle of people being obsessed with reality TV and I think generally people kind of get like this without it being based on reality either, but like people think that you are your character. And with reality TV, it's like even more so, people are obsessed with like who these people are and they think that they know them, but none of it's real. None of it is real. Nothing is real. Trust no one.
Here's the stuff that annoys me about this kind of television. I don't watch the Kardashians.
Right.
Okay, but I absorb enough of it through culture that I know things, right?
Sure.
So last week when fucking Kourtney Kardashian is in town and she goes and she marries that drummer dude that she's going out with, right?
Oh, really? They got married?
Well, it was a fake marriage at one of the local things. They didn't have a license, but they still did it. And this made like national headlines. Boom, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Kourtney Kardashian fake marries the drummer from, I forget. I just don't know his name. But in my head, I'm pissed off at Kourtney Kardashian. And you know why? Because she's not with Scott Disick.
Who the fuck is Scott Disick?
The father of her children, who she should be married to. You know, and why
We
do
don't
I
get to
care?
have an opinion.
Why do I care? But we do get to have an opinion because that is what their fucking
That's what
brand
feeds
is.
their whole brand. Yeah.
That's their entire life.
Yeah.
So we do get a fucking opinion. And don't tell me I don't, because that's how they make money.
You know
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just insane. And it makes me mad that I even think that stuff because I really don't care.
And like,
And it's annoying.
being just like a regular ass person. So the venue that Kadish and I are having our wedding, Scott Disick had his fucking birthday party there. And so we've been going to their website trying to find like pictures of events and stuff.
It's all
And
Scott
it's
Disick.
all Scott fucking Disick.
Yeah. It's like, son of a bitch.
You know, the best part about this movie is Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson together on screen because like their chemistry is great. They're both great actors. It reminds me that they were in True Detective together the first season.
Oh, that's right.
And like, you know, just seeing them as like a paired up together. Woody Harrelson's always the best when he's like paired up against someone that he can play off well, like, you know, Wesley Snipes in the 80s
Wesley
and stuff
Snipes
like
type.
yeah, Wesley Snipes type.
The Wesley Snipes type.
So like whenever they were together on screen, I felt like this movie worked really well. And then like when it was just Ed and like, you know, he's pining after Jenna Elfman's character and stuff like that, like I just didn't care because I didn't find Ed as interesting of a character as when he was like playing off of his like schmarmy brother, you know?
Yeah. Well, his brother, like in the beginning of this movie, when he's like, I'm going to be on this reality TV show and I'm going to start my own gym. Like that dude had some business salve to him. Like that was a legit thing to do. Yeah.
But at the same time, you're like, that gym's totally going to fail.
Well, it's because he's a douchebag.
Yeah.
Like if he was as charming as Matthew McConaughey's character, Ed, and he did that like business savvy, like, hey, we're going to start the gym. The show's going to follow me to the gym. They're going to watch me work out. And then we're going to get a ton of business in. That's the smartest thing he could have done.
Yeah.
Because that would have lasted longer than the TV
But he's
show.
also the same person who's like, honey, just let him come over and beg. Yeah, I got to get back to my guest. I've never had a redhead before. You know that.
Yeah, well, one of the funniest scenes in this movie is when, so like Woody Harrelson's character Ray cheats on his girlfriend Sherry, who's Jenna Elfman's character, and he sends Matthew McConaughey over to kind of like smooth over the fact that on national TV, like he revealed that he was cheating on his girlfriend. And so like Jenna Elfman, in like her emotional distress over having been cheated on, she looks in the camera and she starts talking about how bad of a lay Ray is.
Oh, he gets real upset about that.
And like later on in the movie, he brings out like a girl he used to bang to like say like, well, I've had worse. And he's like, thank you.
That's the best she can say is he's not as bad as she made it out. Like I've definitely had worse. And he's so pleased.
Oh yeah, he's stoked about that. It's like, I'm so glad I did this. This is totally worth it.
Yeah.
I just want to mention this, and maybe I'm an asshole for saying this, but did anybody else like just really dislike Sherry? Like,
Well,
like that poll, they were like 71% of the people think Sherry suck, and I'm like, yeah, I'm part of that 71%. Like, totally ditch that chick, dude.
I mean, I can remember watching the movie, and I'm like, I don't like Jenna Elfman. Like, I've just never been a fan of hers. And like I said before, Hollywood kept trying to like make her into like a movie star, and like audiences were just like, we don't like her, even though like I guess she did well on the TV front, but you know, like she's just not a very likable person, I think. Like she doesn't have the star power.
Well, so her breakout role was in Dharma and Greg, and she was amazing in that. She was so likable, and she played this character that is just one in a million. You cannot keep recycling this role. And every time they put her in something else that was like a romantic comedy, it just didn't work because like as an actor, she didn't have the I guess the depth to pull off something kind of layered. Her character in Dharma, when she was playing Dharma, was like a hippie child, and it worked for her.
I'm looking up right now like who she. I know this actress's face, but I've never watched Dharma.
Also, she had some really bad extensions in this.
Her eyebrows were real 90s.
Oh, real
Are you getting her confused with somebody?
Oh, it
I
looked
am.
like sad faces over
You're
each
getting her-
eye.
Yeah.
You're getting her confused with the lady that was the lead in that Meteor movie.
Meteor movie.
Yeah,
Oh,
Teo
Teo
Leone.
Leone.
Teo Leone, I bet, because I get them two mixed up.
Oh,
Sometimes.
no, you mean the chick from Jurassic Park 3? Is that her?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's her.
Yeah.
No, I'm not getting. I thought she was the chick from Grey's Anatomy. I don't know why. I thought
Okay.
I thought that's who that was. The whole movie I was watching this, I'm like, I think that's the chick from Grey's Anatomy, which is another show I've never watched. But I know her face, but I don't know where I've seen it before.
I mean, the cast for this movie is great.
Yeah.
And I love every time Rob Reiner's on screen because I kept thinking about his character from Spinal Tap.
Right, yeah.
And Harry Shearer is actually in both The Truman Show and this movie. You know, he plays the TV show panelist on this movie. And then in The Truman Show, he was the guy who was interviewing Christoph.
That's right, yeah.
And he was also in Spinal Tap.
Yeah,
You know? So,
and he's
like,
also in, I almost said Jurassic Park, in Godzilla 98.
Okay.
he's the main news dude who's like the smarmy news guy. That's where I know him from.
really not The Simpsons or anything like that.
Nope. Godzilla 98.
Terrible movie.
He's gonna die on that
It's a
hill.
great movie. I'm gonna buy that DVD and put it right behind me.
I actually think I have that.
Do you
I was
really?
just gonna
Oh,
say,
God.
I think we do have
It's
it.
going on the shelf. Anyway, so I don't know, dude. I didn't like Sherry. I thought she was terrible. And I was like watching this movie and I'm like,
I love her roommate though.
her roommate was
roommate's fun.
great. Yeah, she's great.
You know,
she's
who's
on Twister.
terrible is Ed's mother.
Ed's mother.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is like as this movie progresses, you realize that everybody in Ed's life is awful. Like his mom is terrible. His dad's a piece of shit. The only person that was good to him was Al.
I love
And he got
Al.
shafted at the end of this movie. His wife went off and banged her old ex-husband
To death.
to death. And he's like, that's fine.
How funny was Jay Leno though?
He's never funny.
Yeah, Jay Leno's never funny.
Oh come on! He's cracking all those jokes on his late night show.
I like the bit where he's like, how does this family reproduce? The
Yeah.
one guy has sex and dies. The other one has a bad ball. He's like, I can't do anything. Yeah, that bit was funny. It was cool to see Jay Leno, which kind of dates this movie because it was
Sure.
like, when was Jay Leno like
A thing.
a thing?
1999.
Yeah.
You don't even know who Johnny Carson is, do you?
I know the name, but if you put a picture of all the late night show hosts on the wall, I wouldn't know which one was.
Conan got done dirty, man.
He certainly did.
Conan, there was something happened with Conan, huh? I don't remember.
Well, he was
No.
the heir apparent for the Tonight Show.
No, it was David Letterman that got done dirty.
Well, that too, but I mean, like Conan actually got the Tonight Show for like 3 episodes, and then Jay Leno came in and like got him like kicked off.
Oh,
He was on there for a while.
Jay
A couple
Leno
months,
swooped it
wasn't
from Conan? Conan's way funnier than Jay Leno.
Well, so like the network forced Jay Leno to retire.
Yep.
Because Conan was threatening to quit, and so they gave Conan the Tonight Show, and then Jay Leno did everything he could to undermine that until they fired him, fired Conan, and then Jay Leno swept back in and took over the show again, and then retired like a year later, and they handed it over to Jimmy Fallon, I think. So,
Yeah, there's a movie about it actually.
but the rivalry between Leno and Letterman for the mantle of Johnny Carson, I think it was called Late Night or something like that. The book that was written about it. That is a fascinating story because Leno was like ruthless when it came to getting that stuff. In fact, HBO did an original movie about it. That's pretty good as well.
I want to see that now.
I love how interested we are in
No, that's real life stuff.
I mean,
That's
that's,
all real.
that's reality TV. Right
yeah, that's
there.
reality TV. I don't know. I'm just gonna do final thoughts. This is like like a 2.5 star movie. It's entertaining, but it's not something I really need to watch that often.
Yeah.
The best part of this movie is when Ed hooks up with the new girlfriend and they do all the like weird celebrity stuff. That's like when I'm like, oh, what's going to happen next? Like, I don't give a shit about Sherry. I don't want to see, I don't know why he's pining after her the whole movie. She's not an enjoyable character. I don't like her. I'm part of that 71% poll that was like, get rid of Sherry. I'm like, yes, please get rid of her for the rest of the movies. We're going to go on to something more interesting. 2.5 stars for me. What's your final thoughts on this?
I'm right there with you. It's an entertaining movie, but if I never watched it again, I wouldn't really care. Probably 2.5.
Okay. Jude?
So,
I think it's a fun movie. I don't think it's a blockbuster. I think that Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson are hilarious in it, especially when they're playing off of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Jenna Elfman doesn't bother me, but yeah, I guess I see where you're coming from, where it's like you're not necessarily rooting for her either. So yeah, I'm going to give it 3 Woody Harrelsons out of 5.
Okay. What are you putting this in a certain genre? Because you always do that.
I don't know what to put it in. Yeah.
Is it a romantic comedy or is it?
I guess it's a reality TV show, movie, whatever. As a comedy, it's probably just 2 stars.
Okay.
As a reality TV movie, there's not a whole lot to choose from. So 3 stars.
Okay. Kanish, final thoughts. Give it a rating.
So this is an aggressively mediocre Ron Howard movie, like all Ron Howard movies.
Yep.
It's a movie.
it's a movie.
It's a movie.
I watched it. It ended. Never thought about it again. Like I actually went to see this in the theater, you know, and like since that point, like until we rewatched it here, like it never even crossed my mind again. This is an insanely forgettable film.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that it has a great cast, it just suffers from excessive Ron Howardisms. So I gotta give it 2 penis pumps out of 5.
Oh yeah, I remember that part now.
Yeah, I mean that's what Matthew McConaughey digs
He
up
blackmails
on Rob
yeah.
Reiner, where he's like, oh, it's penis pump.
It was like a surgically.
No,
it was a surgically inserted
extensions.
Yeah, and he's like, you pump it up like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also fun fact. So Ellen DeGeneres, who was still in the closet when this movie was being made.
Was she?
Yeah, she was. Originally, her
maybe professionally.
Originally, her part was supposed to be played by Jennifer Aniston. Would that have made this better for you, Vader?
Oh hell yeah, that'd be an extra star.
She would be really young, right?
Oh, she'd be coming off Friends, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'd be all right.
But she's
30s,
freaking smoking hot anytime. Yes, that would have changed the movie for her. That would have been extra half a star.
Half star. But yeah,
Get rid of Ellen.
But that did not happen.
Yeah.
So.
All right, guys, that's it for the week. Thanks so much for joining us. Next week, we're going to be talking about Mission Impossible movies, all the first 3. So Mission Impossible 1, 2, and 3, starring Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
and,
can I just say there's going to be a lot of Tom Cruise running. There's going to be a lot of Tom Cruise riding motorcycles.
Right.
Climbing mountains.
Slow motion doves.
Running some more.
Yes.
Lots of Tom Cruise yelling, but the volume not getting any
We're
louder.
gonna drink and we're gonna go dun 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 dun. We're gonna do that a lot.
It's gonna be a fun week.
We're gonna take our faces off.
and it's funny because Martin Landau was in this movie. He was in the original Mission Impossible. But the thing I'm excited the most about is that the first Mission Impossible, directed by legendary director Brian De Palma, second Mission Impossible by legendary director John Woo, and the third Mission Impossible, J.J. Abrams. So,
be interesting to see the style
contrast,
clashes.
yeah.
I'm just going to tell you right now, the third one's my favorite. All right, guys, that's it for the podcast. Thanks so much for joining us. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. And if you're listening to this on the audio platform, especially on iTunes, scroll down a little bit and hit that 5th star and give us a 5-star rating. Help us out immensely. So, Vader, where can they find you on the socials?
You can find me on all the socials at MattVader74. And right here on this channel, every Saturday morning, with Mr. Kadish over there and our crew as we talk about some Star Trek for the next couple months.
All right. Jude, where can they find you at?
You can find me at I am Jude Juju on Instagram and on TikTok.
All right. Matthew Kadish.
You can find me at Matthew Kadish, Kadish on Twitter. KadishBooks.com takes you to our Amazon page where you can check out my novels. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Cool. All right, guys, head over to the Discord app if you want to chat with me. I'm pretty much there every day talking nerdy stuff, especially in the Halo chat. Shout out to Dan. We've been doing deep dives into the Halo lore and Halo video games. We've having a ton of fun. So head over to the Discord.
Yeah, our Discord community is really awesome.
Yeah,
They're great.
it's so active. Like if you want to chat with me, like you have to tag me or I will never see it.
People are like, "Hey, Jude, I have a question for you," and I'll be on the.
You have to tag me.
I go
I'll
under
never
and,
see
and
it.
tag with a finger, going, "Jude,
Yeah.
you need to answer these
Yeah.
people."
And I will respond.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if I don't respond, it's because I didn't see it.
All right, everybody, have a great day. Thanks for joining us. See you next week for Mission Impossible. Stay salty.